Well, hello everybody, and thank you so much again for joining us to the BNC Academy. This is your guy, Mr. M Dongo. I'm your entrepreneurship trainer, business coach, and Mr. Automator. So today I just thought of okay, why can't we go and talk about one of the subjects that most of the people are so eager to talk about, or they are so hungry about it, and how about we can go and talk about this subject that is also making most of the businesses fail. You know, like one of my mentors always said that if you can't sell, you can't be in business. You know, so and then I just thought, okay, so who can be the best person to bring on this call? And then I couldn't find anyone better than other than my brother here, Ray Gomes, who is actually the virtual sales grad. So as you can see on his background, how are you, brother?
I'm good. Thanks for having me here today.
Thanks so much, man, for making time for us and coming here to actually spend this precious time with us, man. So can you please tell us a bit about you? Who is Ray, actually?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a virtual sales growth coach. I'm also a Cutco closing gift consultant. So I work with businesses both on sales and marketing and branding. So my goal is simply to help business owners to make sure that clients keep them on top of their mind at all times, not just today, not tomorrow, but forever. So I work with branding, I work with closing sales, I work with sales team because I think sales is one of the biggest asset that anyone needs to learn and master regardless of what position. So that's what I do as a living is I help build sales team and also increase closing ratio, and now more than importantly virtual since everyone's at home. So
Wow, yeah, because you know there are still other people right now who are still stuck in the old way of making sales. And I am telling you, if you are not doing virtual things, then where are you? Then you might as well just close your doors, pack your bags, go back home and sleep.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, but out of all industries, Ray, what made you to actually choose sales industry? Out of all, what made you choose sales? Saying, okay, I'm all in. I'm gonna do sales, and I'm going to help people to build their sales team and so on. So, what made you choose that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Obviously, sales wasn't my first choice. My first choice was to be a psychologist because, I love to help people. And I think the mindset, having the proper mindset is definitely, important before you could do anything in life. But, I would say that, my professors, when I'm going to school for psychology, didn't sell me enough on why psychology would be a good major to go in. So eventually I got into business. I grew up in a very painful, I would say, atmosphere, physically abused, always being told you're never going to be successful. So, but eventually I would say the reason why I got into sales is in 2008, I was in a major car wreck and I was emotionally paralyzed and I lost all the jobs that I was doing. I was working fast food, delivering newspapers, and I was good at what I did. I always show on time. But when it came to, asking for help, those companies were not there for me. So thankfully, I got into a business with Cutco Cutlery. It was door-to-door sales. You had to start with people you know. I wasn't a good salesperson. I struggled the first 6 months, but I learned how to survive. So for me, I learned very quickly that sales is survival, and it just dawned onto me like we've been selling since we were babies. I mean, think about it. When we are hungry, is when we are babies. What we do, we cry. We cry and cry and cry until we get food, right? So I think the art of selling is really the art of survival. So I don't care if someone's a doctor, an engineer, regardless, you got to sell because you got to be able to sell yourself in order for someone to do business with you, right? If you're a psychologist, you got to learn on why that patient should do business with you versus all of the other psychologists in the area. So the art of selling, I would say, is the most skillful that everyone needs to learn. So obviously you heard, my coach JT Fox, world's #1 business and wealth coach. She said, in order to get good in business, you got to learn how to sell and you got to learn how to market. And if you can't do both, you're going to struggle. So I think that's what got me into sales. And the part of being sales is you got to be a student every day, because you got to learn how to adapt, because environment change. So yeah, so that's why I got into sales. And it actually, I'm technically a psychologist, because when I do coaching, well, I got to coach the mindset first. I got to make sure my students understand the
Yeah.
mindset. So eventually it just all came in place. So I say that, yeah, if you want to do anything in life, even if you work in a corporate job, you got to learn how to sell, because that's where you're going to make the most money.
Wow. But didn't this bother you anyway? Like, there is no anywhere in the world at the university where they are training the actual cells, yeah, they do have got this type of cells
Right.
and this type of cell, but we really don't have the actual cells training that we really need. Yet they're actually
Yeah.
pushing everyone to be entrepreneurs.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, look at it this way. There's nothing wrong against school, but school is based on you got to pass a subject based on what we teach you in the book. So it's more of an information where you learn in sales in school. So if you want to, so one of the best practice that I did when I got into sales is I would ask every single doctors or people in a suit, and I would say, hey, what do I need to do to wear a suit one day? How can I be at your level? And what I would do is I would say, hey, can I, job shadow you for a day to see what's the day-to-day life? Can I go with your outside sales team and see what they are doing outside? So I guess, it's great. You could go to school and you could pay thousands of dollars, or you could easily just go and practice it yourself, get, an internship, do some door-to-door if you have to. But sales is practice. You got to learn how to be a student every day, and you cannot be stuck on one way only. If you're just stuck on one way only, you're not going to go far.
Wow, sales is a practice. Well, yeah, from the past few minutes, you've been telling me sales is the art of sales. Sales is a practice. If you don't understand, but what is
Mhm.
sales anyway? This is one might be saying, okay, but Munya, out of all questions, why are you asking what is sales? But we really need to understand what is sales anyway. Yeah, can you please touch a bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's multiple ways you could touch on, what it's sales, why sales, and all that. But the truth of the matter is that number one, you don't want to be a salesperson. Okay. If you start being a salesperson, you're going to get sales, but you're going to focus on the short-term basis, because people are going to view you as that's the guy that sold me a car and I'm never going to remember their name again. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
But the way that I took advantage and how I'm good at, closing now is I took the step of being viewed as a consultant versus sales. So that's two different. Okay. So sales for me, this is again my interpretation. Sales for me, if someone say you're a salesman, they're looking for a short-term basis. And I never want to be considered a salesman. I want to be a consultant, because a consultant actually provide a value of solving someone's problem. Yes, you have a service. Yes, you have a product, but using that service and product to solve a particular problem, not making a sale just to get the higher commission. So you got to look at the long term and the short term gain. I'm a long term guy. I don't do short term, right? So I give you what you want now, and then I communicate and follow up, and then we start building to where you want. Whether it's a coaching service, whether it's a product, it doesn't matter. The main thing is that I listen. So the other, here's another example. Sales is you got to be great at listening. You got to be great at listening in solving that problem. The minute you try to get off guard, you're not going to get that sale. You're not going to get that attention again, right? So body language, listening comes with verbal and non-verbal, eye
Wow.
contact. So that's the difference with sales and a consultant. Consultants solve problem. Sales is just there to close the bigger sale and move on. And what happens is you're not going to get a repeat client. When you're a consultant, people want to do business with you. People want to introduce you to their coworker, to their friends, to their family, because they know you're going to solve their problem as well. versus someone who's just trying to sell. So that's my definition on sales, and how to distinguish the two.
Wow. So sales is not about just making money. Okay, I just want to go and make this so that I can either get a high commission or so that I can just because if you can go to sales with that spirit or with that goal in mind, you're actually gonna become desperate. And remember, desperate energy repels, so instead of you getting, you're actually chasing away. So, and you might not even know what are you going to be ending up saying in that, and actually this reminds me of this, but that so if sales is like this, then what are some of the problems or challenges rather, that makes most of the entrepreneurs stumble when it comes to sales? Or what are some of those things?
Well, there's a couple of scenarios. Number one is, what's your why, right? WHY. Why are you doing this? What's your end goal? What's your long-term goal? What's your why? Right? Why should I hire you? Why should I do business with you? So if you can sell yourself to say why they should do business with you, and if you don't believe that 100% yourself, then how are you going to convince someone else to believe that what you're doing is generous? So it starts with you on how much practice, right? So I think the lack of practice are usually one of the biggest downfall to salespeople. They stop practicing. They get complacent when they have the high results versus saying, how can I be a better student and improve and get a better result, right? So lack of practice. Number two, going back, is lack of listening, okay? Lack of listening. You're not really listening to what the customers are saying. You're just trying to sell them based on what you think is right, when sometimes it's not even what they need right now. Number two, dropping down, giving them options, right? If they can't afford the larger sets or larger service package, can they start somewhere? Are you doing everything you can to have them get started somewhere versus nowhere? Because they have a problem. Because if they didn't have the problem, they wouldn't attend your event. The reason why people show up to your event is because they want someone to solve some part of the problem that they're going through. No one just show up to the event and say, I'm just going to listen. No, they want someone to solve a problem. So you got to be able to listen on what the problem is and then work. And sometimes it's okay to start from the bottom, because that also gives you an opportunity to upgrade and keep that relationship moving forward. So best practices, listening are the two most important things that if you want to get good at sales every single day. Even myself, I've been doing sales for 12 years. I wake up every morning, I look myself in the mirror and I say, hey, why should someone do business with you? Right? Why, Ray, what can you bring to the table today? What did you do yesterday that you can improve today? So that's what I do. You got to be able to adapt. You got to be able to learn every single day. So always be a student.
Wow. So always be a student and listen and listen. I might as well change the definition of sell and say sales is listening. Because it
It is.
all comes of that, like from everything that I've been saying, listen to the customer's objection, listen to the customer's cry, listen to the customer whenever they are saying one, and also listening to what your competitors are also doing, and then so that you can find a way of beating them. Wow, this is something else. This is something else. But now, this now bring me to this one of the biggest stumbling block again that I think most of the entrepreneurs they're actually facing, especially it can be startups, it can be those big ones, the issue of pricing, the objection of pricing objection. How can I deal with it? There is my neighbor who is providing things at a ridiculously cheap discounted price. It's same product, same quality, same whatever. And I am here saying that no, come and buy mine. Mine is a bit my mind is actually stronger, but it's same. So how can I balance when a client said, no, this same product that you have, I found this somewhere. I found this in somewhere at a very cheap price. So how can I handle that?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Price is not the issue. Okay. That is the psychology part. Everyone thinks it's the price, but the real reason is you. Why should people invest in you? Right? What's your brand? What's your marketing? Who's your circle of influence? How you carry yourself, right? Why should someone do business with you? I mean, think about it. There's a thousands of my favorite sport is soccer or football in Europe, right? Liverpool soccer club is my biggest fan since 3 years old. Support, right? Good season, bad season, support. I still buy their jerseys, right? But the thing is, what I'm trying to say is that when you want to be great at something, why do you go to the best coach to coach you? Why? Because they have value. They have done something in their past to create a aha moment or that wow moment for them to be as great as they are. And you don't care how much that price is. You'll find a way to go get it. Why? Because you know if you invest in that coach, you're going to be the best version of what you want to accomplish. So price is not the issue. It's investing in the individual who's going to take care of them in the long run. That's the value. So for example, right? Why does coaches makes $1 million, 2 million, 34 million? Why do athletes make 40, 50 millions? Anyone could go out there and play basketball, right? But they have a brand, they have a value, they have the work ethic to back that up. So when the objection of price, you got to ask more questions. Is it really the pricing or is it lack of knowledge?
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, people buy value. People don't buy products or service, they buy value. The value of how can that serve my selfish needs? Because
Okay.
as human beings, no matter how good we are, we're all selfish. We want to know how we can support our needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what can that brand, that person, that product do to fulfill my needs?
Okay.
So if you're branded, price is not a question. But if you're not branded, then find a way to get branded,
Mm-hmm.
right? So price is not the objection. When someone says, "Oh, that is too expensive," they just didn't see the value of it, and you didn't do a good job convincing the value of it.
Wow. So, so how to handle the pricing objection by making sure that you give the ultimate value and also you made your potential client to see the need for your product in their life. Wow. Thank you so much for that. And then while we are still talking of the objections here, what was the biggest objection that was so challenging to you, and how did you overcome it? What was the biggest objection that was challenging you, and how did you overcome it?
I would say the biggest one is that people didn't really know who I am. People didn't really understand my values to the business. So what I did is I invested in coaching. I've invested thousands of dollars in coaching, and coaching got me to meet some, wonderful people like, Bruce Buffer from UFC, George Ross, former Celebrity Apprentice judge, JT Fox, world's #1 business and wealth coach. So it's a matter of, getting noticed. It's a matter of showing your worth. And I think it's true, like what my coach says, the reason most businesses or people don't do well is because they just haven't been noticed. They just haven't had that opportunity. So I would say that was my biggest challenge. And slowly but surely now that is improving because I'm getting noticed everywhere now. Here in Southwest Florida, I could go out and people be like, that's Ray Gomes, right? The guy who moved here from Nashville, who started, something new, 10 months ago, even during this pandemic. So I think you just got to carry yourself and you just got to find the right people. Circle of influence is the biggest thing. So get noticed. That was my biggest challenge. And, every day is a new challenge. So yeah, the more you get noticed, the the more level. I wouldn't say easy, but you have that extra advantage.
So if you are not noticed, which means you are not branded. So branding and sales also works hand in hand. I always say that branding open doors for you, but you still need to go and find out what's behind that door and now closing now is now the selling part of it. Wow, that's so amazing. But now what is it that you do to gain confidence, so that you can approach cold market and close them, be it B2B or entrepreneurship in general, any client in general? What actually helps you to gain confidence to go out there and speak to those cold markets, because some of the time some people they are so flexible and they feel so easy to talk to other people who knows them. But how about those people who doesn't know us? Because that's where the money is. Yeah.
Yep. So practice, practice. Lots of coaching, role playing. That's the biggest thing. Whether you're in sales, consultant, role play. Find someone who's in your level and role play. That's the best practices. Role play. With my team, obviously before they start cold calling, what do? We role play the script. We go over objections that we got the previous day, and then we role play that. We figure out ways on how we can overcome that for the next call. So every objections that come in, we write them down, we role play, we try to fix it. If we can, we go to our platform, we study, we ask our coaches how to overcome that, right? So coaching, role playing, those are the two things that helps me get better every day. And I would say, am I good? Am I 100% every day? No, because that's a lie. No one is 100%. But can you be in that 90%? Yes, you practice, you get coaches. And that's the biggest thing. So that's get me through every day. I role play every day. Before I go on stage, I practice 5-10 minutes. I do mic check. Like everything for me has to be perfect. And if I don't, my team knows I get upset. Why? Because I have that mentality of, if someone invite me to come over to present something, they saw some sort of value in me, and I want to give them 2,000%, not 100, but 2,000%. So lots of practice, lots of listening, and definitely lots of coaching.
Lots of practicing, role playing. Funny thing, you actually brought this role playing, because it's actually another question that I was going to ask you, that what is really the importance of role playing? Is role playing needed, or is just a waste of time? Because I've seen you role playing with the big dogs, with the big sharks in the market. I've seen you doing role playing with JT Fox, Trainer, and other crew. So do we really need role playing? Or role playing is only for big businesses that are now global? What about those other people who are also starting? How can they do that? Is role playing so important?
Well, the question is, how important is role playing? Well, the real question is, how much you want to be successful? Because a good student never stops learning. A good student never stops practicing, right? Take an athlete. Okay, take an athlete, let's say basketball, LeBron James, one of the finest athletes of all time. Why does he show up at 4 a.m. in the morning practicing? Because he wants to get better, right?
Yeah.
Why did Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, why do they get up early? They want to get better. Just because you're a brand. By the way, when you're branded and you have that big reputation, you're actually going to have to put 10 times the more effort of role playing, because people are counting on you. Right? People are counting on you to solve some sort of problem, whether it's entertainment, whether it's hope, whether it's whatever it is, people are counting on you. So yes, role playing is very important, because one of the biggest, I mentioned this earlier, when you stop learning, when you stop being a student, when you stop being complacent, your business can go down in a snap of a finger. My mom always said, it's a rocky mountain to get on the top. but it's a simple slide down, right? When you messed up. So yeah, to get on top of the mountain, it may take hours, days,
Yeah.
months, years. But when you reach on the tip, it's a very short period. Guess what? Then you have to go down,
Yeah.
right? And you got to rebuild all of it again. Unless you chose to stay on top of that mountain forever, right? But then how are you going to get food? How are you going to get your supplies? You see what I'm saying? So role playing is the art of survival. And if you start role playing and you in your mind you think that you're already good, then that's where your downfall is about to happen.
Role playing, preparation, it's all what need to be done every day. I really loved what you just said. I was saying that when you are now established, you are now everywhere, you are now known. That's when now you need to put double the work that you were doing, especially when you were so unknown, when you were nobody. Simply because right now you are there, everybody now knows you, and everybody is actually now, how can I say, that they are now referring to you as an example. And when you fall, you are going to fall very yeah, you're going to fail to actually fall on a rock bottom. Okay, then now then now it also brought me to this question of follow-up. When is the right time to do follow-up? How many times must I follow up? And how do I follow up? There's some time like I can book a meeting, yeah, or actually do this call. Let's say it's a sales call. And then when exactly am I supposed to do a follow up with you? Tomorrow, next week, next month, next year? And how do I do that? And
Hmm.
yeah, and how
Yeah.
many times?
So it depends, right? So the one thing that I've learned about follow up is the art of asking permission,
Mm,
right? Because everyone's busy.
mm,
Some organization has already planned out the year or the quarter, right? They have everything planned out. So asking permission and say, hey, that's great. That's great. You got all lined up. It shows that you're a successful business. Hey, when can I squeeze in next quarter that I can add value to your team as well? I know you're probably looking for someone to come and speak, right? Or someone to add value. How about we go ahead and book that next month? Or can I follow up in 2 months to see if we can fit in the schedule? So asking permission, right? Permission based. Okay, that's the
wow.
biggest thing. You want to build them up. You want to compliment them that they're doing something great, because otherwise they won't be a business now. So you compliment them and then you ask permission, say, hey, can I follow up? Even with my customers, I send out a newsletter every month and I ask permission. I said, hey, Miss Jones, thank you so much for helping me out. I really enjoy meeting with you today. Looking forward to, meeting your friends as well. But, once a month, I just, send out a newsletter just to show my accomplishment. And the reason I do that is because you are a very big part of it. Without you, I wouldn't be who I am today. So it's my way of saying thank you. Can I have your permission to send you out the newsletter on a monthly basis, just so you could stay in touch with me and you never have to forget about me, right?
Wow.
So that's how I do with clients.
Mhm.
Now, when I do with meetings, it's a different thing. I meet, I work with real estate brokers, right? That's all my clients. So sometimes it's hard to get in your team meeting. And I ask them, okay, great. If you cannot spare me 30 minutes, can you spare me 5 minutes? And if you like me for 5 minutes, then maybe the next time I could do a lunch and learn for about 30 minutes. Is it okay if I can sponsor you? I'm always asking permission, but I'm asking permission with confidence, not wimpy, right? So
Okay.
here's the difference, okay? I showed you the confidence. Here's a wimpy one. Hey, great. But is there any way I could, squeeze you in like 2 months from now? Like, can you do that for me? Like, is that okay? That's wimpy. Like, I wouldn't want to do business,
Yeah, yeah.
right? But that's with the art of a phone call, right? The phone call is the most important part of the sales, because that's where you're building relationship. That's where you're trying to get in the door. So if you sound wimpy on the phone, no one wants to schedule a meeting with a wimpy person trying to meet the organization. No one wants to
Wow.
spend $1 million with a wimpy person, right? So
Mhm.
you got to ask with confidence and go and add that value. Compliment your potential clients, build them up, and then say how you can add value. And you know what? Sometimes they will say, call me in 2 months. So here's what I did, 2 months. So you're saying that, hey, with your permission, you said 2 months. I have Wednesday, January 2nd open. Can I follow up with you on January 2nd at 10, between 10 and 1 p.m.? Is that okay? So I
Okay.
listened. He told me back in come twice, and I put in my calendar. And guess what I'm doing on January 2nd? I'm following up,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
Because then when I say, then when I pick the phone call up, I can say, you know, hey Mary Jane, this is Ray. We spoke 2 months ago. You said to give you a call on January 2nd between 10 and 2 p.m. I want to make sure that I respect our conversation because I really want to help you add value as well, and I want to learn more about your business. Is there any way we could squeeze in your next meeting coming up, maybe in a couple of weeks or so? So my point I'm trying to say is don't get confused between being persistent and annoying. Annoying is someone who doesn't listen and call them over and over again every single week,
Mm.
right? Persistent is listening to what they say and then following up based on what
Oh.
they say.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's the difference. Don't ever get confused between persistent and annoying. Annoying is someone who's lack of listening. Persistent is someone who listens and deliver.
Wow. Listen and deliver. Listen and deliver. I loved the point of compliment, then ask permission. Because some other people, they just say they just want to go and start calling without asking permission, and most of the time, some other people, they can just call you from nowhere, and when they call you, they don't ask again, is this the best time for us to talk? What
Mm-hmm.
if I'm actually in the middle of a meeting, and or I'm busy doing something? Wow, that's so amazing, and thank you so much for sharing that. So what are some of the tips that you can also give out to our listeners?
I mean, the biggest thing I could say is this, if you, whether you're struggling or you're doing well, get a coach, right? Get a coach because the coach will show you the shortcut on where you want to go. And the second part is not only get a coach, but start implementing what your coaches say, right? Don't wait. The reason you hire a coach is you want your problem solved. So when a coach gives you solutions, implement it.
Wow.
Okay. You're just like a doctor, right? Why do you need surgery? Well, you don't want to get any of your intestine or whatever infected, right? Or you could get it infected. Then it's going to cause more problem, right? So, but the surgery is going to solve the long-term effect. So those are the two things. So my tips for every one of you right there, you guys are going to sell every single day, every single minute, every single second. So why not get a coach to get better? Why not improve your life by getting a coach, right? And the second part, just start implementing it. Stop being stubborn, just start implementing it.
Wow. Start implementing whatever you are paying for to your cost. It's so painful for other people who just pay. Let me tell you also the other thing, it used to actually bother me much. Like, people, they will pay for your business coaching or for this. You tell them what to do. They go home, they sleep. They don't do that. And then tomorrow they wake up and they say, his program doesn't work. His program doesn't work. It's simply because they are not implementing what you are telling them. Because whatever you are telling them, if you give it to somebody else, that somebody else is taking it with something else. They'll go
Yep.
and implement just 10% of it, and it worked wonders. That's so amazing. Thank you so much for that. So where can people find you, Ray? Where can people find you?
Yeah. You could go on my website, Ray Gomes, RayGomes.com. And you could, if you want me to help you marketing, if you want to help me with sales, you can reach me. That's the best way. You can also follow me on social media at Ray Gomes, and watch for my live every Tuesday night. I add some value, some of the skills that I've learned and could improve on a weekly basis. So the way that I could say myself as a coach is that I'm in the field. So I'm not someone who's just going to ask you to buy a program. I'm in the field. I'm meeting clients every day. I'm sharing what I learn every week. And that's how I get better. I think a strong leader is the one that on the field together with their clients as a family versus someone who's just sitting on the top and, bossing someone to do other stuff. So, yep. So that's how you get me. You get me as a coach. We end this together as a family. So.
Wow, we are in this together as a family. What I do is what you do, and we all win, right? And
Right.
we all win. Thank you so much, Ray. And please note, click on the link below and make sure that you go and actually browse and see how can Ray help you, or else follow him on social media. I follow him every Tuesday. His videos are so amazing. You learn each and every time, each and every time on Tuesday, you can go there. Some of the time, he might be live while I'm sleeping, but guess what? The following day, I still go there and still watch them and comment and like and do sort of stuff. So you need to go there. He actually share very good content here as well. So thank you so much, brother, for making time. Thank you so much for coming here and blessing us with your presence and your training. I really appreciate you creating time for us.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much.